Good afternoon. Sorry I don't have a flashy PowerPoint for you. Tom Coderre is actually supposed to bring it for me, and he dropped the ball like he usually does. No, just kidding. You're my hero, though, Tom. My name is Senerchia. I'm a young person in long-term recovery from a substance use disorder. For me, that means that today I'm a friend, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, and most importantly, I'm a son to my beautiful mother. I'm also a boyfriend to a wonderful girlfriend who's 27 years old and has 9 years of long-term recovery. I'm a productive member of society, as well as a tax-paying citizen, and I've dedicated my life to service of others by advocating for youth in or seeking recovery from addiction. I'm also currently Vice President of Young People in Recovery, a national advocacy organization. We advocate for better access to housing, education, and employment for all youth in or seeking recovery. We currently have just shy of 50 chapters across the country advocating in their own local communities for what we like to call a recovery-ready America. I'm not just here, however, to talk to you about the amazing advocates we have, the youth advocates we have, and volunteers working in their communities. Today, I'd really like to talk to you not only about CARA, but more specifically, my experience with long-term recovery as it pertains to education. Just to tell you, just really briefly, a little bit about me and how I grew up and came to the position I am today. From the outside looking in, everything was completely average and normal. I have two wonderful parents who are still together, two wonderful older sisters, normal middle-class family growing up in Monmouth County, New Jersey. And again, from the outside looking in, everything seemed normal. What people didn't see from the outside looking in is that inside, I was really hurting and I was really broken. And, I suffered from manic depression growing up, and the easiest way for me to self-medicate during that time that I found, because what was usually given to me by things like doctors and therapists didn't really work for me at the time, was to self-medicate with alcohol. And very quickly in high school, I developed a dependence. I was also a student athlete. I won a lot of accolades in high school, playing baseball. I went on to play in college as well. But after growing that dependence to alcohol, I found that it was the only way to take away what was going on in the inside of me. And we talk about, treating the person, and it's about people and not necessarily the drugs. Once I developed that dependence to alcohol, it quickly moved to opiates. And to speed you up, my freshman year of college didn't take long for me to be politely asked to leave the campus and the school, and also my baseball team. And it was during this time when I was 18 years old that I was first intervened on, and at the ripe old age of 18, I had my first experience with treatment. Now, speeding up again and getting back to what I want to get into a little bit is when I came back to school at the age of 18, there were really zero systems in place for me to find support that I needed to be able to sort of flourish as an academic student and to really thrive on that campus in long-term recovery. The pressure of living in an environment that can oftentimes not be conducive to those trying to maintain a life of abstinence from chemical substances was really just far too great for me. I also was a student athlete, again, who returned to playing the sport I love, only to then again find myself being politely asked to leave the university and the baseball team for conduct detrimental to both. Thinking back on those years, I'd like to say that today I was almost certainly set up for failure. Now, I don't think it was intentionally whatsoever. However, the lack of support in an educational setting for someone with an illness that has become a modern-day epidemic in this country was just too much to overcome. The next 4 years after that period of time became the darkest time in my life, and it wasn't until I was 22 years old that I was able to grab and sustain long-term recovery. Now, education has changed my life. When I went back to the same university that, again, had politely asked me to leave, I was able to find support through a peer-to-peer group on campus. It was essential support that I so desperately needed at the time. College can oftentimes be a hostile environment for young people trying to abstain from alcohol and other substances. One small meeting on campus allowed me to grow and flourish as a student. I ended up completing an award-winning 80-page thesis paper on Mario Savio and the free speech movement of the 1960s, and I was able to finally graduate and be able to walk with my fellow peers. Now, imagine what we can do in incorporating collegiate recovery programs on every college campus across the country, or recovery high schools in every school district across the country. If one small group in school allowed me to flourish the way I was able to, again, graduating while sustaining my long-term recovery, imagine what more expansive programs will help students achieve today. There are 23.5 million Americans in long-term recovery in this country from addiction or substance use disorders, and you better believe that a fair percentage of those are high school-age students and college-age students trying to maintain their long-term recovery while attending schools. By expanding funding resources for collegiate recovery programs and recovery high schools and other advocacy organizations working to support these organizations, we can ensure that 23.5 million Americans in recovery in this country will grow substantially. Again, if we can increase funding resources for these programs in our schools, I'm sorry, that sign just really threw me off. Then that number, 23.5 million Americans, will grow substantially. And I really have to, I guess, close it out a little bit. And you can see education is an integral role of recovery, and it allows one to challenge oneself in a developmentally healthy way. We need people to reach their higher education goals, whether that's a trade school, a four-year university, a community college, and so forth. My organization, Young People in Recovery's education platform, aims to bridge the gap between high school students and higher education and help all aspiring students in or seeking recovery reach their maximum potential. The Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act will help aspiring students in or seeking recovery, people like me, maintain their recovery by helping them reach their education goals. Again, by supporting organizations like Transforming Youth Recovery, the Association of Recovery Schools, Young People in Recovery, and the other organizations and individuals who currently work in this field. Education in all of its forms helps young people find purpose and meaning in their lives, which is the very backbone to maintaining long-term recovery. And I want to repeat that one more time. The very backbone of maintaining recovery and becoming a productive member of society in this country is being able to allow young people find purpose and meaning in their lives. And there's no better way to do that than through achieving an education. And just to quickly wrap it up here, I just want to thank everyone for being here and listening to me. It's really an honor to be able to be here before you. I studied the history of social movements in college, and now I'm literally able to take part in one with the social movement going on right now known as the recovery movement, the youth recovery movement and so forth. But really, just to reiterate one more time, I'm literally one of thousands of recovery advocates in this grand recovery movement working to support young people during their own process of long-term recovery, really helping them maintain or set their own educational goals and then achieve them. Thanks for your time, and thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you, AJ, for telling us your story, and I think we would all agree with your message that education is a very powerful force for empowerment and for recovery. It's now my great pleasure and great honor to introduce Senator Rob Portman from Ohio. As you've heard already this morning, Senator Portman is the lead sponsor for the Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act on the Senate side. He's also one of the sponsors and champions of this Congressional Addiction Forum that's in an ongoing way teaching us so much. And his longtime leadership and championship on these addiction issues is inspiring. So Senator Portman, with that, if you'd come take the podium.